Hello, welcome to Citi TV. This is The Footprint, a program that celebrates the lives and times of Ghanaians who have walked the path, those who have legacies that we have not been told about, and is a platform to discuss some of these legacies, the lessons that we can also pick from their experiences as Ghanaians traversing the whole span of their lifetime. So last week we started talking to Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe, and we will show you bits of what we talked about last week, and then we'll come back and then move to life beyond prisons, life as a medical officer, life as a politician, life as a diplomat. This is still The Footprint. We'll be right back.
And then I applied to join the military.
In Ghana?
In Ghana. Mm-hmm. And the interview was to take place in London. While there, I was a bit difficult at the military academy.
You mean you were stubborn?
I was stubborn. And I remember I was marched to the commanding officer one day.
And you're not scared?
No, I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared at all.
Because if you're in the military academy, that is a scary thing.
Yeah. And he talked about his plan to change the government. He was very blunt. And he's been in government before. You know, he was once a commissioner. In
terms of your medical practice,
exactly.
You were practicing medicine.
I was.
As a military man, and you were drawn into this whole coup d'etat thing. And so you had hopes of getting into leadership of some sort. Welcome back to the program. This is The Footprint. And today I have with me Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe. And I'm sure you just saw the bits that we discussed in our last episode of the program. So now you've seen 2 years of your life behind bars, and you have some memories of some of the significant experiences and encounters that you had behind bars. You care to share in the next 5 minutes?
Yeah, that is really an interesting point that we have just brought up. Just before we left the Sawan prisons, we got to know that there are other soldiers who have been kept there.
Before you went there?
They were there before we came. But we didn't know because they are in condemned cells.
Wow.
So they have nothing to do at all with the general, what do you call it, normal prisoners. You know, these are people who have been condemned to death.
Wow.
And they were...
Remember some of them?
Yes, I do. I think one was Captain Joel So.
Wow. Captain So.
Then Captain von Backenstein.
Captain von Backenstein.
I'm sure you might have heard the name also.
Well, I only encountered the name von Backenstein from KNUST because of his son.
That's right.
Who eventually joined me in the media.
Oh,
although
really?
he did biochemistry.
Oh,
and he's been in the media with years of experience.
Oh, that's interesting.
But he has the character of a soldier, so I'm not surprised.
His father was a good soldier too. Then, good old Captain Kojo Chikata.
Wow.
He was there. They were all in condemned cells. And then, so we have been brought in there. But you know, there's no way you can go into the condemned cells. You have no way to. In fact, you will not be allowed. So how he got the message to me, I don't understand. Ask somebody to tell me that I should come close to the cell. There's a way there. There's, I think, a gutter or so, a small gutter. If he stands there to speak, I can hear it.
Wow. So
I went in there, stood at a place, so came and started, and I could hear him clearly.
Yeah.
And he was asking us what had happened in town, because they have been put in there for some time, you know.
So, the offense being? Was it against the
another coup
government?
against Achamo. You know, Achamo has a series of coup attempts on
I mean, so who was notorious because Nkrumah was looking for him too.
Yeah. So he was involved in one man, one machete, all sort of coups,
Oh, Captain.
He's still around anyway.
Of course, I'm in touch with him. And he's also going to be interviewed on this
that
program.
will be fine. Yes, well, he's got a lot to say.
He's a storyteller.
So he has got a lot to tell you.
Yeah.
So, we finally came to someone, it came to Osafo, as I said. And then from Osafo.
Oh, so who joined you there at Osafo?
No.
Okay.
They have passed through Osafo,
Oh, they've done their term in Osafo,
and then finally they ended up at Nsawam. I think they were tried also.
Let me ask. So they had individual issues.
Yeah.
But they were not together like your team.
No, not at all. They had a complete different
And what was Captain Chikata's about?
I think it was about the same coup where Chikata was connected. Where he was connected. So the three of them were kept in there. Now then, of course, we were released from what do you call it?
The prison.
Osafo. But there's one thing that has escaped me, which is very important. Whilst I was at 1 battalion of infantry,
which is Michel Camp.
I remember one afternoon, my Batman came and told me that I had a visit. And who comes in? Captain Soum. This is very interesting. He comes in with
another... Batman is the person who takes care of your clothes
my clothing and everything.
Pressing and all that. Okay.
Then who comes in with him? I have never met the gentleman. That was my first time of meeting him, but it turned out to be Captain Bedema. Wallace Bedema.
Yeah,
I think he's now a general or so.
Yeah. Is he still in the army?
No, he's left.
No, he left.
He became an ambassador in Brazil for years. But I think he's back in town.
Okay.
So the two gentlemen came to me. And I noticed immediately, by then I've been very new in the armed forces. I noticed that their discussion was more about the removal of our champion. In those days, before I even got involved with Minyala. Yes. But I never contributed, I never said anything. And they spoke, and then they went away talking.
So who at the time was with Ho?
So at that time, had been released from the armed forces.
Oh, I see.
I've been released,
and was still operating.
Was still operating, but Wallace Bedema was still an officer, serving officer. Then I remember by then I had a picture of Che Guevara, a painting, very nice painting, and Wallace wanted us so he can have it. Now, when they left my place, they visited another person, another officer, whose bungalow is just about 2 from my bungalow. Then this officer called me because we were so close. He called me later and said, Nyaho, did Su and Bedema come to your house? I said, yeah, they came. Then he asked me what they discussed. I told him, I said, this is what they discussed. But I didn't find anything at all that would let me get worried or anything. Then he said, no. He has made a report to the MI. He considered what they said as, something that the MI should know. And he was advising me to go and tell the MI. And this person...
That's the military intelligence.
Yeah. This person who was a close friend was called Major Henry Smith. I'm sure you must have heard of it.
Of course. He later on
got involved with Rollins School, and then he became a AFRC spokesperson on foreign affairs or something to that effect. So Henry told me he has reported, so I should report. I didn't report. Then one day I had a call, some few days later I had a call from the commanding officer of the unit, that's 1 battalion, that I should see the director of military intelligence. So I went. And I went to Bema Camp to see him. And I was quickly, moved to to the MI, not MI. I was moved to the offices of the BNI once again. And I was questioned intensively, and I was asked to write a statement. And as I said earlier on, to me, nothing subversive was discussed, so I didn't find it necessary to tell anybody. And I put everything down, and I was asked to go away. And that was my first experience with this sort of thing. Before I got involved with the main one. I was asked to go back. I went back to my unit, and then I was asked to come to 5BN, get 5BN ready for the Middle East, which I did.
Okay, so Dr. Nyaho Tamakloe, we are now out of Nsawam, and you are back into your... Were you released from the military immediately after Nsawam, or you went back?
We were released from the military whilst we were in Oshafort.
Oh, I see.
They brought the documents there that we signed.
Okay, so you came back as a civilian.
Exactly.
But did you go back to 37?
No, I didn't go back. I went and joined my uncle to run his clinic at Nyaho Clinic.
Nyaho Clinic, okay.
At
the time, was it still at the airport residential area?
Yeah, the same place.
Oh, okay.
The same place.
Cool. Now,
and then I was there when 15th May
1979.
1979, Uprising of Rawlins, came up. So by then, nobody knew exactly what was happening. Some were thinking it's a champion who was coming back. You follow me?
Because at the time it was Akufu who was the head of state.
Right.
Yeah.
So my mind was sort of, do I stay in the country or I should find my way outside?
But you're still connected to them, right?
To who?
To the governing, is it SMC? Was it SMC at the time?
SMC2.
SMC2.
SMC. That's what I'm saying. Nobody knew exactly what was happening. All I realized was that people were just running away from Burma camp, And I was then at Ridge. So you see, everybody was running far away from Burma camp direction. And then that was for a short period.
Yeah.
And then, of course, came June 4th.
But let me just take you back. You had been put behind bars by the Kufuor Champon government and released by the Akufu government. So, at which point did you think that you should be drawn into politics?
Yeah, as I said, after 31st December, the coups were falling, or the attempts were falling one after the other. So after 31st December, whilst I was in Nyaho Clinic, one afternoon, late afternoon, I saw a vehicle driving to the clinic. By then we have even closed. So I was saying that why should the people be coming when we have closed? So two vehicles, these old Peugeot cars, the saloon type, not the saloon type, the other one.
The estate?
The estate. The estate, two of them.
What we used to call £1.
£1. One drove in, and the other one parked in front of the hospital. Then who comes out of the car? Chachu Chikata and Kojo Chikata. And the Chachu told me that they have... Kojo was sick since the morning, and he has been tortured and whatnot, and they have come for a medical attention. Of course, naturally, I have to look after them, even though they are very close relatives. So I look at Kojo, I examine him, I notice that he's definitely been tortured. And, there was blood, deep-seated blood in the ears. You can see that clearly. So I wrote everything down, how I found him. Then something told me I must look for a second opinion. So I remember I called Dr. Adai, Colonel Adai. I work under him at the military hospital. I called him. I couldn't get hold of him. But then there were no cell phones as we do now. Then I called Colonel Frankie Jabano. I couldn't get hold of him. I was calling those I have worked with in the military hospital. Then the next person that came to my mind was Colonel Loko, a surgeon. I called him too, I couldn't get. I said, what is happening? Then I called a consultant by name Dr. Ahlija, psychiatric consultant. He was in psychiatry. And when I mentioned the story to him, they said, I shouldn't forget that he is also in the same family. So if I can't do anything, then he cannot do anything either. But he suggested to me a doctor on the same road, one professor. I think he died recently. I've forgotten the name. So he said I should go to see the professor. So I went.
Is it Badou?
Not Badou. Badou is at the other side.
Other side.
This one was when you are heading towards the airport, you know. Oh, Professor, I've forgotten the name. Okay. So I just drove in there, and I realized that when I moved my car, of course, Kojo followed me. Chachu followed me in his car. Chachu was the one driving. And then the other car too followed. And that other car was a car of the intelligence unit. Oh my God, very interesting. So we drove into the yard. I drove into the yard of that doctor. I keep on forgetting his name. He was the head of pediatrics. He was a professor.
Kisi. Not Dr. Kisi.
No, Kisi. I know Kisi very well. No,
Okay.
Kisi was in the military with me. So I went in there. They said, "Oh, Yaw Osafo, what brings you here?" I said, "Oh, then he ushered it in. We had a seat. I told him about what has happened, and I want a second opinion." He said, "Oh, he will do it." So he also examined or re-examined Kojo Chikata and confirmed all that I have seen already, and went further to say that he is prepared to write a report should that be needed by whoever. And it's interesting. But then that was during Liman's era. Liman was then the president of this country.
So now we are talking about 1980.
1980, that's right. So I was in the office when Sowu's senior brother, who has passed on, called Glenn Sowu.
Glenn, yes.
I'm sure you know him.
Squadron leader, yeah.
Squadron leader, that's right. He came to my consulting room and said he needed that report because the report would be needed, by somebody. I said, I cannot give the report to him. I think the name of the doctor is Srifi, Professor Srifi. That's the name I wanted.
Okay.
And I say he can go to Srifi to collect the report. But what is really interesting was that during that same period, I saw Mr. Odwe-Sais. You might have heard the name before.
Of course.
Odwe-Sais came to me. In fact, he came to the clinic. He was then an MP.
For Accra somewhere.
What was the name of his constituency?
Ododudu at the time.
Ododudu at the time.
Yeah. Well, the daughter was my classmate. So
that's right.
I remember, yeah.
And then he was an MP, and Alajite too was an MP. Alajite, who later became Speaker.
That's correct.
So I told Odrea, this is what has happened. And it's not good at all for this particular government, for Liman's government. But then he says, so he will definitely bring it on the floor of the House when he goes down there. So I was expecting something to to happen. That somebody has been taken by the MI, he has been brutalized and all sort of things. But nothing was said at all. So later on when I met him, I said, why? They said, Nyaho, he had a chat with the leadership of the PNP at that time. That's the Liman's people. And the report that came out was not good about Kojo. Attempts allegedly, making to unseat Liman's government. Mm-hmm. So that was why, they just left the whole thing the way they thought it should be left. So this was going on, and then 31st December came.
So this is 31st December 1981.
1981. Mm-hmm. And when 31st December came, I felt I've had enough, so I left the country. I went back to the U.S. Then I stayed in the U.S. for about 4 years or so. Then came back. And I then started work again. Mm-hmm. By this time around, I didn't team up with my uncle. I opened my own so that I can have free time to do what I want to do. And then also got involved with football series, House of Folk. And I became House of Folk chairman during that period.
Okay, so you became the chairman of Accra House of Folk, I think, in 1986. 86, yeah.
Time, 86. Mm-hmm. So football was taking greater part of my time, which I enjoyed very much.
Yeah.
I brought in the Twinkle Little Stars, Shamokwe, and others, and all this.
Abladekuma,
that's right, and others. It was when I was doing this that I was picked again, this time under Rawlings government. Under Rawlings government. Mm-hmm. With let me clarify this one very well. You know, or you've heard of Colonel C.D. Benny.
Colonel Benny.
Benny.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who was once head of intelligence during our Champons era, the early part of our Champons era. Then you heard.
So this was before Ojija, is that?
Yeah, this was before
Ojija, right?
No, this was. Yeah, this was before Ojija. Before Ojija. You might have heard also of lawyer Kokuvite.
Mm-hmm. Just heard.
You heard about, you haven't met him. Yeah. Now the three of us were picked because of an alleged problem Kokuvite had with one German gentleman by the name Heinel. No. Because
this Heinel issue, I, as a young student, read about in the news.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was that, or what got me hooked into this particular case was that I was in London when I met Heinel's wife. And then she told me the husband will be coming to Ghana, but he will come to Lome first. Listen to me very carefully. And that if I can help to bring him from Lome
into Accra.
To Accra. And she told me I should get in touch with Colonel Benny when I come to Accra, which I did. Now, C.D. Benny told me that he's gone to the intelligence office to ask for clearance for this man, which I believe also. So we went together in C.D. Benny's car to Lome and brought this man down. Then some few days after that, I was arrested, he was arrested, and then Kokuvite also was arrested.
Okay, so at this point, you've been arrested for something that was not clear to you.
Quite not
unlike
clear
the
till today.
first. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't clear to me.
Okay, let me just. So, for you who are watching us, this is the footprint. on Citi TV, and I'm with Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll be getting into his life as a politician in the proper sense of the word, and his experiences that he's going to share with us. His life as a diplomat, and also post-politics, his career as a diplomat, what he's been doing with life. We'll be right back. This is The Footprint.
My name is Vivian Kai. Look, welcome to the Citi Newsroom, where we are coming to you from Pokwasi Mayra.
Every weekday at 8 p.m., Citi Newsroom brings you analysis of the major news stories of the day. In-depth, comprehensive, and researched. It's 1 hour of local news from 8 to 9 p.m. It's the Citi Newsroom on Citi TV.
Welcome back to the program. This is The Footprint, and I have been speaking with Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe. He has an encounter that he's just started sharing about how he was picked up once again for getting involved in an issue that he didn't know much about, bringing this Heinel man into Ghana, which was all over in the news at the time. And so how did that end up?
Yeah, we were then sent to James Fort. You know, so I've had the experience of Usher Fort and James Fort. James Fort was where Nkrumah was in prison. Yeah. So we stayed in James Fort. Then they arranged some sort of trial, and we end up once again in Nsawam.
Jesus, your second coming.
Now, the second coming. Now, when I got to Nsawam this time, the most famous face I've ever seen in my life was there, and that was Kwame Pianim.
Oh.
Kwame Pianim in a white vice prison dress. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, so he had also been put there.
Oh yeah, Kwame was put there also for an alleged
trying to overthrow the government. Yes. And this is the PNDC government.
PNDC time. In fact, I would say he was lucky to be alive. Today. And Kwame was so nice to us. Very, very nice. He received us and got our various places. And by then, let me name some of the important persons there. There was one prosecutor known as a peer who prosecuted a lot of people during the June 4th.
He also ended up there?
Of course. He was brought into Nsawam.
Wow.
The prosecutor. And there was this funny thing. Whenever he is coming, then the young, notorious image there will say, "Court rise." Court rise. And Apia was there. Then we stayed in for one day. Kwame came to me. Kwame said, "Nyaho, we have a complete clinic here in Nsawam." I didn't know by that time. So he took me around, and really there was a complete setup, a clinic that Nkrumah built attached to the... In fact, it's within the prison itself. Then Kwame said, if I can help it will be very good, which I agreed. So Kwame quickly had the place. He got in touch with the Catholics. The Catholics came and renovated the place nicely, painted the place, brought in some essential drugs. And I started looking after the inmates there. And the first inmate that I saw was a family member of the director of prisons at that place. So I became very popular with them in the prison yard. We were there when one day we heard that Heinel himself has been brought
to join you there?
To join us there. We were shocked. Heinel, the one, So Heinel came in, And one time I was playing tennis with Kwame Pieni in the prison yard.
Oh, then you are living large.
Oh, I won't say so, because even what is left to be a court for tennis, who say it, you will laugh. Just to exercise your limbs, that's all.
Yeah.
Then Heine came there. And Kwame wanted him to join us in playing the tennis. And I told Kwame, I will never accept that. So I left and went back to my cell. Kwame has always been a peacemaker, honestly, I must say that. So I went back to my cell. Then after a while, Kokuvi left. Then myself and Benny also, we left. We were released. And then we left Heine there. We left Heine and Kwame there. Kwame had a long sentence, very, very long sentence. In fact, later on, he ended up in a prison at Anomabo.
Wow.
It was a terrible life, to try and, do things for this country. It's not easy. Then, when we left, my good friend then, Ajiri Blankson, told me I should help him to go and see one police commissioner. What was the name? I'll remember the name. He had his office then at the immigration office. We went in there. Then the man, when he saw me, said, "Now that I've seen you, I can sleep. I will apologize to you. We wrongly send you to prison. I'll get the name." He was IGP before, a Ghana. If you call the name, I remember. During the time of Liman.
Okay.
And then later, he became one of the intelligence officers for Rawlings. I'll get the name.
Then Lamte.
Lamte is the name.
Okay.
Lamte is the name. So when I left the place, I shook my head. And Ajil Blankson himself was shocked. And after that, my attention now went more on politics. Then we have formed what we call Dankwa Buzia Club. We have been meeting privately in various places.
So this was the late 80s.
That's right.
Okay.
Those I can remember, names I can remember very well. B.J. Darocha, Odwe Sais,
Dr. Safodu.
Kwame Safodu, but he wasn't coming to some of the meetings.
Okay.
Those who are attending the meetings regularly.
Okay.
And we used to meet at the Ringway in the house of one, he has even died, one elderly person, another nice gentleman. And then later we were meeting at Councilman's at Stephen Preko's house. I'm sure you've heard the name of Stephen Preko before. So gradually, we were building the political party. We used to go to, Kufuor to hold meetings. The meetings have always been indoors. But by then, you couldn't. Yeah. Then it went on nicely, and then the formation of NPP was coming. We were attending meetings at this hotel, which belonged to Akufo-Addo's fathers then. Ringway. We had regular meetings there. It was there that even the name NPP was chosen. It was there even that the symbol of the elephant was chosen. There were some people who were against it because the idea was that the elephant is an animal that is destructive. You follow me? These were things that were argued there, but the majority decided that it should be used.
So at this time you had given yourself, you were motivated to go into politics.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we held meetings in Takoradi. I would go Kumasi. I remember I attended a rally with Kufuor, Kufuor, at Methodist Park in Kumasi.
So this would be 91.
91, yeah. I remember then Teresa Tego was alive. We went there together.
Because I was there.
You were there.
Well, I was there as a university student.
That's right.
Because it was the beginning of the whole thing, and we walked from KJTR to the project. I remember.
Right. And when we got to the scene, I was shocked because there were a lot of people.
No, it was scary. For us, it was scary.
Very, very, very interesting. So myself and Kufuor and Teresa Tego went on the days and we sat down. Kufuor addressed them. Kufuor introduced me. I spoke a little. And I remember Teresa Tego.
Yes.
Teresa Tego, when she was called, by then she was very new in politics. When she was called to address the crowd, then she turned to me and said, Nyaho Nyaho. And then I said, don't you know Kwame? That was her first address to a crowd in politics, Teresa Tego. So gradually we're building these things. Then I remember one time we had a meeting at Stephen Preko's place, but then we have almost finished everything. These boys who played a very key role, I should mention their name, the Kakra brothers.
It's
Samuel brothers. In fact, I was told even one of them has passed on yesterday or so.
Not that.
The historian. No, there are two.
Okay.
Kakra is a lawyer, and the other one is a historian. Okay. I learned he has passed on. Kakra himself sent me the message. Collins, that's the name. Kakra sent me a message, and then they did very, very well. Very, very well. And then we were gradually building
a political party.
Yeah, that's right. And I remember one day we met, and then a group was chosen, I think led by Odoisais or so, to go and talk with Peter Lajeti. The idea was to see whether he can join, And then the team went and they spoke with him, and he came, and it was so interesting. So this is how Peter also got involved. And then eventually it came out as a political party.
So at this point, we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll look at Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe's involvement in post-1992 up until now. This is the footprint. We'll be right back.
For all the news, analysis, projections, and policies that affect your business, curated and delivered in a simple and timely format. Watch Business Dashboard, your most comprehensive source of business news, every weekday at 7 p.m. only on Citi TV. Business Dashboard on Citi TV is sponsored by ADB Bank, truly a Greek and more.
Welcome back to the program. This is The Footprint on Citi TV. My name is Samuel Attah-Mensah, and I've been speaking with Dr. Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe. It's been very interesting, very engaging, and we've learned so much in this interview. And this is the reason we will not let these people leave the planet Earth without telling their wonderful experiences, their wonderful stories, their encounters that define who we are as Ghanaians. So, Dr. Tamakloe, now that you have, you've seen at least 2 decades of party politics, or 3 decades, almost 3 decades of consistent democratic governments in Ghana. How would you, what is the story? How do you tell the story from 92 up until now? If you can walk us through.
I think for 92, when we were able to pick the leadership of the party, the chairman was then B.J.
Darocha, yeah.
A very excellent man. Very, very, very excellent. Very democratic and straight to the point. And then the General Secretary was then Ajilin Boatin. And then the Treasurer was Hakmausu Ajiman. So this is where Hackman came. And it was interesting. We acquired a property at Asylum Down as our headquarters. We have been having meetings. It's been quite interesting. And finally, the party met, and then we decided on who should represent us as a presidential candidate. In fact, that decision, or that particular exercise took place at the Great Hall of University of Ghana. And I would say the first person to be picked was Edubo Aine. And then we went into the elections and we didn't succeed. Rawlings, you know how the whole thing went on. And then the next election.
92, this was at the time when we had the presidential elections different on a different date from the parliamentary election.
That's right. So
you lost the first one.
We lost the first
abysmally.
one. Abysmally.
In a pathetic manner.
We were all very much surprised.
And so that's the reason you chose not to take part in the parliamentary.
Exactly. So we didn't take part in the parliamentary elections.
And went ahead to write a stolen verdict.
Exactly. We did.
Really stolen? 30 years down the line, do you believe it was stolen? Or it was the truth and the reality that eluded you?
Well, definitely I think that particular verdict was stolen.
Really?
It was stolen because... there were a lot of things.
You didn't know?
Yeah, we didn't know. And Rawlings, took advantage of the fact that he had his people around. Intimidation, all sorts of things.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it was the order of the day.
It was the order of the day. Even the ballot boxes were not transparent. And all sorts of things.
Great.
In any case, one interesting thing that happened was after the removal of... after Professor Dubois was unable to take the presidency, there was another attempt,
96, yeah.
96, but this time around, some of us felt we should back J. Kufuor. Very interesting. Now, myself, the Samoa brothers, Charles Riku Brobe, Dr. Charles Riku Brobe. We thought J. Kufuor, should be the next person. And we had a very serious problem with the leadership. Some of the leaders, not all, I must say. And I remember one of those who was very much against it was Appiah Menka. You might have heard of his name.
Yeah, of course.
So Appiah Menka spoke with me and was trying to convince me but we didn't. We held various town hall meetings.
I mean, they were both strong characters from Kumasi.
Exactly. We went to Kumasi on our own, held town hall meetings, explaining things to people. The reason why J. Kufuor should come on, So finally, Kufuor came, and he was not also successful, if you recall it.
96, yes.
96.
Yes.
And then we had another run again, I think for the third time, and this one took place in Sunyani. This was when Nanado came on.
That's true.
Okay. And so I was back in Nanado this time round. So myself and some other people was back in Nanado. And I remember very well, I had an interview with Kuku Bako. But then he was at the Guide. It wasn't then the Daily Guide.
No, the Daily Guide was much later, yeah.
And in the interview, he asked me whom I think must be the leader of the party. And I said, I think Akufo-Addo is the man. So he used it in his paper front page, Akufo-Addo is the man. by Nyaho Nyaho-Tamakloe. And Kufuor didn't take it lightly at all. I remember very well. He didn't take it lightly. He was so much happy about this particular thing. So they wrote the rejoinder, and the rejoinder was written by my old good friend and what do you call it? And my brother Kojom Pianim. He wrote the rejoinder. Now, so this is how we went in, continue, and at the Kumasi Congress, Kufuor emerged as the strongest. Sunyani Congress. Kufuor emerged as the strongest.
Sunyani Congress, I was there. Yeah.
So Kufuor became the leader of the party, and then whatever happened, now things were people were.
This was in 98.
98. Before then, we've had the
Legon Congress.
Kumi Preko.
Yes.
Kumi
Preko was actually before the 96 elections.
Yeah, it was in 95.
Yeah, 95, yes.
Kumi Preko was in 95, I think May or so.
I mean, Kumi Preko, as a practicing media person,
exactly.
I am yet to see anything bigger than that.
It was big. And I was at the head of the march.
Of course, I remember the pictures. I was in the media, so I remember. Yeah.
And then what is interesting about that match was that I called J. Kufuor the night before. And I told him he should try to be president that night. He said, we'll be going to Kumasi. I said, Kufi, this match you have to be there. And I must say that he was present.
Because I remember him.
And I remember also before the match I was at Kotolante in Accra with some friends of mine. We were having beer there. Then somebody came to tell me that the NDC chaps are training some people how to use knives on this. I said, are you sure? Okay, let them come and use the knife. But it was, as you said, it was very successful. We were shocked about the crowd. We couldn't believe it. I remember I came to Kwame Nkrumah's circle, myself and Akoto Ampao, Sheshe.
Yeah.
And Charles Roberts said, oh, Nyaho, the people have waited, and no, there appears to be no leader immediately to lead them in the march. So I quickly, myself, I think Kwesi Pratt and...
I think Victor Newman was also involved. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those of us who were involved, Charles Brobe, Kwesi Pratt, Victor Newman, Akoto Ampao,
Sheshe,
Nanado,
Nana Kufuor, that's true.
Myself, and Kakraba Cromwell. Many times people forget about Kakraba Cromwell. He wasn't a young student.
He had just
come out of the university.
Yes.
So we were the people who really turned Accra upside down. Then quickly, government came out with a statement that we were trying to create confusion, and we were asked to report at the police station and what. Oh, I didn't mind it.
That's it. So tell us. So you were then. So fast forward, you were involved with Kufuor's government.
Yeah, Kufuor's government.
Post 2000.
Post 2000. Kufuor was. I know Kufuor very well. He wasn't comfortable with my stand, because I must say,
your style or your stance on issues.
No, my change. I was backing him before.
Oh yeah, of course.
But my change to back Kufuor, Kufuor didn't understand it. Okay. And I did that on principle, I would say. You see. So, Kufuor, I won't use the word deliberate. Kufuor completely forgot about me. Now he was forming a government. And then he had information that there were people who were doubting why I was in his government, especially from outside, Germany, England, Canada, and some of these places. And he even told somebody that his whole intelligence briefing within the country, people were doubting why I wasn't in his team as a minister. I wasn't worried. So Kufuor 4 years reign, I was not part of it.
The first 4 years.
The first 4 years. And the second term, just before the Congress at Cape Coast.
2006.
Yeah, I had a call from late Kojo Banredu. Very, very nice gentleman. Then Kojo said, Senior, should I sign the letter for you? I said, Kojo, what letter? I said, the president has appointed you as head of the Ghana Football Association. This is how I got there. Then I said, Kojo, don't sign it. I said, Senior, think about the appointing authority. I said, I'm aware. Don't sign it. I don't want to embarrass you. Then he left it, he didn't sign it. And then I was attending a memorial service. I was then at Osu Cemetery. You might have heard about the name of H.P. Nyamite.
Of course.
Yeah, I think it was 10 years after he died.
Yeah, Nyamite.
Big house of folk man.
Very
Big house
so.
of folk man. So
Yeah.
I was there with the family when I had a call from the then Minister of National Security, who was then Francis Poku. Then Francis said, my brother, where are you? I said, I'm in the cemetery. I said, oh, you have bereaved me, you haven't told me. I said, oh, this one is just he said, if you can come. So I went. And typical intelligence officer, he was trying to lure me to accept that position. But he's my friend. He followed me. And then I said, okay, I will agree. So he called Kojo Banredu, and Kojo signed the letter. And I went to Cape Coast the following morning, which was a Sunday, to attend the closing session of the Congress. So as I was seated, the president came in, who was then Kufuor. He came to me straight saying, I would like to see you so that we have a chat at the residency after the function. So after the function, I went to the residency, myself and himself, all this I can't remember now. We were chatting, I mean, outside, open.
Edumadze.
Yeah, Edumadze was around. That's right. Edumadze was
Central
I haven't heard from
Minister.
him for a long time.
He passed, unfortunately.
Edumadze?
Yes.
Oh, my God. May he rest in peace.
So he's contributed. He's gone. He's taking the lead.
That's right. So, we were having a chat, and then Kufuor said, that place is a very difficult place, but I know you can do it, He's been chairman of Kotoko before.
That's
I have been
correct.
chairman
In
of
the
House of
80s,
Folk.
yeah.
So then he said, Nyaho, don't go there and play your old tricks. I said, Kofi, what tricks? I didn't even call him president. I said, Kofi, what tricks? They said, don't go in favor of Accra House of Folk. But he gave me his word. But I keep on saying that. He says, then I told him that I don't want you to interfere how I ran the place. And believe me, he kept his word. He never interfered. Never interfered until we started having problems there. The old GFA problems, and I took certain drastic decisions, and the so-called they have a body, the Executive Council, were up in arms against me. And then
So did you resign eventually?
I'm coming to that. Then Kojo then has been removed to finance as finance minister.
Banredu,
Sorry, Banredu. And you have Osafo Maafo have been sent to Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah, that's
So you have been a very good friend. But you have failed to know the sort of person I am. Then I'll call him. We had a meeting, myself, Yaw, Nyaho-Nyaho-Tamakloe, who was then my deputy. It was when I left that Nyaho-Nyaho-Tamakloe came on the scene. Then Yaw said, Nyaho, it appears the people don't want you there. If you can step down, I got annoyed with him. I said, you didn't appoint me. How dare you tell me that I should step down? Honestly, I got annoyed, banged his office door, and left. He couldn't believe it. So I I came straight to the clinic and wrote my resignation letter. Gave it to my driver to send it to them.
Where is the clinic?
Oh, I wrote a letter from the clinic.
Which clinic?
The clinic.
Yeah, I know.
Which was established by me. The clinic.
Well, I'm just trying to bring it. I'm trying to bring it.
That's right.
When I used to come to you there.
That's right. That's right.
On the Russia Road.
On the Russia Road. Mm-hmm. Then I had a reply or acceptance from this lady. She was in the media for a long time. Once editor of the Graphic. A woman who edited Graphic. What was her name?
Not. Grandma. The name
I
will
always
come.
forget the name. Yeah, right. She was the one who wrote the letter. Elizabeth Ohini.
Yes.
Yeah, she wrote a letter accepting my resignation and thanked me that the government, so that was that, and I went back to my practice as usual. Then one day I was there. I had a call that I should go to the presidency, and I went down there and I met. He was then secretary to the president. This diplomat, he is a diplomat.
Mm-hmm. The secretary,
one of the Osei something.
Yeah.
DK Osei met me and told me about the president's wish that I should become an ambassador to Serbia and Montenegro. So I prepared towards that, and that was that.
Wow. So that would be your years in active service to the nation.
Exactly.
So I am sure that this is about where we draw the curtains. I'm sure we will find time to look at post your active service, government work, and some of the conversations thereafter. But if you look back in all your years, what do you think the youth of today, the new generation, is missing that in one or two sentences you would want to bring their attention to?
I think firstly, I will be very, very happy if the youth of today will learn the culture of resignation. The culture of resignation is not in this.
Resigning to their efforts
on principle.
Oh, okay. So
when there's a problem, you are handling it, and there's a body that is not against, it's against what you are trying to do, be bold enough, take a pen and resign.
So people should work based on principle.
On principle.
Okay.
And I believe if we are doing that, it will help this country a lot. There are a lot of people in government today who should have resigned long ago. They are there.
Well, repetitively, I mean, from 1992.
Now, and unfortunately, whenever you are trying to advise the government or you even criticize them, they press itself for, since in Nkrumah's time, then you are seen
a target.
That's why you are a target, and then, all sort of things are done against you. It's happening even today, and that is unfortunate. That is very unfortunate.
Wow.
So I think these are some of the things that the young people come in. They should be able to say no on principle. Because I resign on principle.
That's correct.
A lot of people couldn't understand it.
No.
And one person I would say, the first Ghanaian ever who was even a minister who resigned on principle was KG Osebonzo. When he was a minister.
And this will be under...
That was during, I think, Ankara era. Either Ankara or Buzia time, one of the two. He resigned on principle. He left the government. And this is not being seen by, we don't do that now.
Yeah. So, Doc, thank you very much for your time that we've spent. The time we've spent with you has been interesting. We've learned so much. And it's your last words, the parting words about being principled and sticking to our principles is something that I personally have taken. Thank you once again.
It's a pleasure. Thank you also.
So you've been watching The Footprint on Citi TV. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Samuel Attah-Mensah. See you next week.